Dan Layden,
Present.
Matthew Ray, are you
Here.
Matt? Or
Present.
Matthew,
Matt's fine. Present, thank you.
Mr. William Walker,
Here.
Mr. Stewart,
Present, ma'am.
Debbie Strong,
Here.
I see you. Debbie
Here.
Dodge,
Present.
Michael Wismer.
He's present.
I do see him. Well, I did see him earlier.
He's a dog.
He's the one that's the,
And then we're just missing Miss Giacci, and I have not received anything from her, whether in regards of attending.
Okay, and we do have a quorum. So I'm sure you all were anxious to hear from her should she appear, but we'll
She's probably
prep
looking for a parking spot.
probably.
Before we go into that, can we go ahead and announce or acknowledge?
Please. Yes,
So Desiree Castell is here from the sheriff's office, and she's the executive assistant to the sheriff. Been with the county for many years. She also was involved a lot with domestic violence. She was an advocate. Just kind of doing that on the side, huh?
Still very.
are you all able to hear and see?
No, I can't hear her name.
That's
Yeah, I
okay.
didn't hear the name. Sorry.
So, and she wants to say anything else about herself and what her role kind of is with the sheriff?
Yes, thank you guys for having me. I'm happy to be here. Yes, so I've been with the county in January, it'll be 8 years. And so I worked in our civil division, and then for many years, I was the only victim liaison that we had working in violent crimes and homicide. And then before Sergeant Allen retired, he was the sergeant, and that's how I got to know him and work with him. So when he was elected for sheriff, he asked me to be his executive assistant. So that is my primary role, but I am still a nationally credentialed advocate, and that will also help to tie in with other things to talk about. But thank you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you for being here. In every agenda, there's space for a sheriff's office comment. And so I don't know if you're prepared to take that space, but you're certainly welcome to do that.
I can do that. It'll be brief, but I can.
How are you today?
Um,
Okay.
and
We've got everybody but.
are there others? I've forgotten your name that quickly.
Marcella.
Markello is with the city, with the mayor's office, I think, right?
Yes. She's with the mayor's.
Pleased to have you again, Markello.
Yeah, of course. And I brought cards in case anybody wants one.
You got what?
Cards.
Oh, okay.
Are they edible? Pick one.
Are they chocolate?
yeah,
Yeah.
And if anybody else.
I live on Clinton, so. pretty cool.
Oh,
I have one from last time.
oh,
Okay. And so the roll call again has been completed. We have a quorum. Our next item of business is the consent agenda. Did you all have an opportunity to look at the draft minutes?
yes.
And is there a motion?
I move to approve the draft minutes.
Been approved? It's
I'll
been moved
second. I'll second.
and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Any additions, deletions, amendments? Hearing none, are you ready for the question? Those in favor of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The minutes will then stand approved. Item 4 on our agenda is public comment. Danette, are you aware of anyone who
I did not
wants
have
to make
anybody
public
signed up.
comment?
Nope, nobody signed up.
Okay. And Markella, are you here to make comment this time, or are you
No.
you're observing? again?
I'm just here to observe.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You may observe me.
And so we've reached item 5, Sheriff's Office of comment, and Desiree, I'll recognize you again if you want to speak to
Thank
them.
So I want to just update you with some projects that are in Sheriff Allen's vision for the upcoming year. So first, it's our civilian accountability position. So that is a position that we're trying to create. So ultimately, that's going to be, again, a civilian position, but really holding to our accountability and transparency for a lot of the technology that we are bringing to the office. Another one is a third crime analysis position with all of the new technology.
Can you speak louder?
Sure.
Thank you.
The next position that we're hoping to bring to our office is a third crime analyst position. With just the growing units in growing technology, we really can foresee the need for a third position. And then lastly, this is the one that I'm most excited about, is we're finally going to expand our victim liaison unit. So since I was the victim liaison, it was only me at the time, and then my replacement was hired. Since then, we were able to get a grant and some county funding for forensic case managers. But those are primarily in support of our social workers or with the behavioral health unit. So there is such a high rate of domestic violence in the county. And so that's something that we want to expand, because victim liaisons, they'll primarily be helping victims of domestic violence, but really any violent crime. So we will be looking for grants to try to fund more positions. Ideally, about 2 to 3 more would be great to start with in a perfect world, but also possibly asking county commissioners to see if they would be able to assist with any of those creations as well. And then lastly, I wanted to let you guys know, I can send an email as well, but we will be having a promotion and award ceremony coming up on December 13th that you guys
Thank
are all welcome to attend
December 13th, what time will that
at
be?
1 p.m.
Thank you.
And where,
Usually Desiree sends me all the information and then I just send it to all. of
and
you
where's the
Get a
location?
count of who's gonna come.
It's at our new training academy. Yes, so it's 3801 Broadway Boulevard Southeast.
That's the one with city, fire and sheriffs, right?
I'm sorry, did you say it would be at the South Broadway Center?
No, it's at our new training academy.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry,
it's on Broadway.
Broadway and Cross Street?
Like South Second Street.
Thank you.
And it'll be the promotions and what?
You'll send us an address.
I will. I'll send you the formal invitation with the address, but it's our promotion and awards ceremony for the third quarter.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I have one question for you on the crime analysis analyst position you have. Is that a full-time position?
Are those civilian or civilian positions?
Civilian?
Yes, those are all civilian.
All of them are civilian positions, even the one, the grantees? Okay.
Thanks, Desiree. I know that at least a couple of items required the sheriff's review. I know there were some items in the
October.
draft annual report. And was there something from the October agenda?
Yeah, I do. May I speak?
Sure.
Hi, Desiree. There was an item on the October agenda. I had asked Sheriff Allen, and we are friends of Sheriff Allen, okay, said that he's made reforms so there won't be the same kind of problem that occurred with the federal investigation of those deputies who notified an informant. Okay, what was it he did? Here's the news article. This is from the Journal. I sent this, I can send it to you. What were the reforms that were made that would avoid that in the future?
And let me say this, Desiree, you may not be in a position to respond
Right.
to some of this, and our ask is that you take it back to the sheriff. I know our annual report is time sensitive. Madam Vice Chair, did we get any response on the items that we needed the sheriff to review on annual report? Just-
Yes,
yeah.
we did actually,
Okay.
that he's fine with the draft
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Well, that takes care of that.
Perfect.
Uh,
Good.
But
I
with
did have a question for Desiree. I'm just curious about BHU. The last time Sheriff Allen was here, he told us that he was on the verge of appointing someone to head up BHU, a civilian appointment, I believe. But he didn't tell us the name because the appointment hadn't been finalized. So I'm just wondering if that has now been finalized.
Yes, that's something I can share with you. His name is Michael, and he his experience, his last place of employment was with ACB. So he is with us now and he has a wealth of knowledge about behavioral health, and we're very happy to have him and welcome him to our office.
Okay, and his first name is Michael, his last name?
Oh, let me get that for you.
Debbie.
That's from
Debbie.
Yeah.
You're
Lena.
welcome.
Here's another one. Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, and did we get your other question answered?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay,
Desiree, can we get something in writing about the new behavioral health person?
Yes, we can draft that for you.
Okay, this board has been very interested in behavioral health and worked with Diane Dosal.
Yes.
And we have a little subcommittee on behavior. It's one of our interests. So
Okay,
thank you so much.
of course, you're very welcome. I'm sorry it's taking a moment and his last name escaped me.
You'll think about it as soon as the meeting's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can get back to Danette or,
Yeah.
one of us about that. That's fine. I just want to I just for the sake of thoroughness, want to.
not a quiz,
that.
take home test.
If that works, yes, I will get that information sent to you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
Anything else for Desiree? Okay, hearing none, Deputy Desiree, it's been our practice to, that you folk over there at the sheriff's office are quite busy. So, I mean, if you'd like to be excused, we appreciate your attendance. If you want to stay, certainly you welcome that as we go through our agenda, but please don't hesitate if you've got other things to depart.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I can stay for a little while longer,
Okay.
but I might have to excuse early. So
All
thank
right.
you.
Well, we appreciate you being here. Thank you. We'll then, let me indicate for the minutes that Elena, board member Giacci is now here, and she's handed a report. We have you on the agenda, Elena?
Probably just to update the.
Yeah, there you are. You're the next item.
Yes, she is.
So I'll defer to you and Mr. Stewart to enlighten us on the SOARB listening session. Thank you all for
You have a hand
the
up.
efforts. Oh, you have your hand up, Vice Chair Strong?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to reiterate that and remind everyone that drafts of the annual report should not be given to anybody outside of SOARB until we have finalized that report. I appreciate Markela, how cooperative you were about that the last time, but that shouldn't happen at this point until the report is finalized. So that's all I have to add on that.
Thanks for that admonition. Elena, go ahead.
Jim, did you want to start or you want me to go ahead? Your turn.
You're the boss. You're the boss. Go ahead.
That's the first time he said that. Well, actually, it was very successful in our eyes. And a big thank you to Matt and Jim because they were both there in support. And I'm just looking, I think I gave one of my copies away, but nope, I have it here. So we had 31 total people there. And out of the 31, we had 12 sign up for speaking. And we had a wide variety of people that spoke. We had youth represented there with a number of people. And some of them were from this community that changes guns into more positive things. And so, yeah. And, vases, magnets and all of that, but they were there to speak and saying that they wanted perhaps a larger buyback program. So that would allow them more use to be able to do things and change the guns in that way. But they were one of the first group that showed up, and they brought 4 of their community members. And so it was really nice to see youth there. I broke it down a little bit because there was also, I went to 20, but there were also a number of smaller comments about things that they thought that the sheriff would do. And I am more than happy to break that down. I would say it'd probably add another 20 different comments. But I mean, it was a fight of going, what should we include and what should we not? So I gave you kind of a mixture and made sure that any comment that was mentioned more than once we put in, that I put in here. And so I thought it went really well, and everybody had some very constructive criticism as concerns as well as comments. A couple of people spoke on that they thought that the sheriff's department was doing a good job. I would say one of the biggest things that came out of this particular piece was number 2, and talking also as that there were 2 areas of major concern around the changing of the children's code, because they're really doing some pretty big things around the children's code that especially the Bernalillo County Sheriff and Sam Bregman have had a lot to do with. And we had a number of people, I want to say it was out of the 12 that spoke, 8 of them spoke in the idea of feeling that the children's code, when talking about making changes to like what poverty really means for children and how you go about doing that. And you can see like the custody, the paternity, the changing of what poverty, the definition of poverty means. Those 2 things were part of that. And they were positive about the children's code, where they were very negative and believe that the children's code should not even have these, were where concerned delinquency and the delinquency component being very punitive to children and youth. And so they had a lot of feelings around that. So that was mentioned in here. Some people felt, well, a couple of people talked about the BCSO and them going in their neighborhoods. Some of them felt that that was positive and others did not. Many spoke that because we had a number of people that represented youth, like schools and teachers and social workers. And Matt, feel free to jump in anytime. Matt was our official timer who did a really good job. But most of the concern around BCSO going to these auditoriums and speaking with large audiences is every one of those teachers felt that that was not a positive thing. And what they felt was that they needed to go into the classrooms and more smaller audiences talking. Matt, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I'd like to, I think there was one comment that had kind of emphasized, I guess, that Sheriff Allen had done the smaller group setting, and that was very positive. So there was a lot of praise for the sheriff for, having a good interaction with the kid. But yeah, I think to your point, the larger takeaway, at least for me, was, what is the sheriff's department doing, the school resource officers doing to sort of better build bridges with youth and the schools and communities.
I think, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I do have one comment to add to that. So there are, I think this one is specifically with Sheriff Allen talking and our school resource officers, but something that I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that we're also doing. So with the domestic violence training, myself and 4 detectives, we've been getting into schools as a asked basis, but we're doing teen, youth, and dating violence training for presentations, mostly in high schools at this point in time. But that's been really successful, and that one has been a smaller setting and mostly done in health classes. So I just wanted to let you guys know we're doing that as well.
And Vice Chair Strongman has a hand up.
Yeah, I have a question because apparently Elena is reading from a list of something which I
Yeah.
don't have that document.
I can send it to her right after.
Email.
Can we email
Yeah.
it to her now?
Yeah.
And Jim doesn't have
You
it
have-
either, and Michael, I don't
Do you
know
have
if
it
Michael has it.
electronically, Elaine?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah,
have it.
yeah.
Well, I don't have it here
You don't have it?
electronically, but no, I can easily send it when I get
Okay.
back to the house.
Was it your intention that this be a part of the annual report?
I would like it to, but Deb had a date for the first, and I had just, started to unplug that and did all the
Looking at
voting
your
electronic things, so.
I think I might recommend it, at least for Jim to have a chance, and then obviously, look over it, since the three of us were there, and maybe come up with if either if
Sure.
we want to add or modify before it goes into it.
Right.
Let's add it.
Official
Please add
record.
it. Let's add it.
After they review it,
Yeah.
make changes.
Yeah, and it may need, I mean, this is kind of a distillation of the comments.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's what we want in the report.
No,
So,
I mean, I can add, it would probably add another probably 20 to 30, just some of it repeating many of the items that were discussed, but I have no problem in saying this was discussed 3 times or 5 times, or if it's a different.
Consolidate it.
yeah,
to,
you all can handle that
paragraph or
internally.
two.
You all can handle that internally. But in timely fashion, it needs to get to the vice chair so that we can vote on it as a board for inclusion in the report.
Mhm.
it's actually already not timely, but I think, I mean, is there any change to what's in here already? We don't need, the purpose of this was to convey comments to the sheriff. And I thought that the subcommittee was going to be responsible for doing that. I don't know that the report has to detail what those comments were. That's my opinion. All I was able to write was the very brief description that I got from one of the subcommittee members.
Well, I think what we'll do is let it come out of the subcommittee and get to you, and we haven't voted on the report. And I know I've pressed for time, but there is still,
Yeah.
it seems to me, some flexibility in when we get the report out.
Mhm.
So let's let them handle that internally. And, if it is the will of the body that there be something coming from the subcommittee to the report, then that's fine. Our vote today does not have to be the final on the report in that regard.
I have a question on number 7.
Mhm.
It says Native American and children with disabilities often get unfairly labeled by the law enforcement. Then directly after that, need to be better trained in working with South Valley communities. Is that something different for the Native Americans?
Well, this was a comment that came specifically from a member, and one of the things that we had agreed on,
From a member?
not from a member of the community.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that was something that they said. When we needed major clarification, where we really didn't know exactly what they were talking about, we would ask and delve into it. But we kind of decided ahead of time that whatever they said, this is something that we would, write down, but we weren't going to kind of ask all the
Validate it or
questions and,
whatever.
yeah.
No, because the
So
reason why I
this is
say
great,
that
yeah.
is because the South Valley community and the Native American could be two geographical
Definitely.
locations that are different from each other. And that could have been like a separate item when they say better training was working with the South Valley communities.
Yeah, when they said it, they kind of said both. It was like Native American, and you were there too, right?
Yes, it was.
And Native American and disability, and that they weren't. So, yeah,
Okay.
but we were not kind of.
I thought there were two different items.
No, and what I did was, if it was like a comment by a person, I tried to put it all together as one. But we made a decision not to say, well, what is it that you mean? Or what are you thinking about? Or I'm not sure what, And so just writing the comments, I think we can always go back to the South Valley and start peeling those back and seeing what it is. But I really wanted to just listen to the community and say, okay, this is what it is. And with only a couple of exceptions, did we ask questions.
Because you were in
Otherwise,
the South Valley area, that's why.
yeah, well, I'm not
But no, the meeting.
personally, but the meeting was, yeah. So it was very much, and it was directed to a lot of things in schools and stuff that was actually happening or happened, like the sheriff going to the auditoriums and things like that, or, what they felt, because overwhelmingly, every teacher that said that the sheriff or the deputies were all welcome into their classrooms, and they would do a program, a project, or whatever. And so all of them said the big thing didn't work, but the little things, have worked. So, yeah.
And I don't know if we've got time to do it today, but certainly I'd like the subcommittee to have an opportunity to look at this.
Mhm.
I'm looking at 13, and since DA Bregman needs to be engaged with you, is that you or youth?
Youth.
13
Yeah.
is youth. And so it probably needs to be discussed in.
Oh, it's in here.
With the
Should be
subcommittee.
Youth.
Okay.
Just put a TH in there.
Yeah, not that DA Bregman shouldn't be involved with me,
No, yeah, well,
but youth is what's intended here.
yeah, sorry.
Good deal. So I don't know, Mr. Stewart, did you have something further on the interaction with the community on October 20th?
Judge, before we actually started the formal part, we all got to speak with people as they were arriving. And then once it concluded, they stuck around for many minutes afterwards. And we had a lot of one-on-one conversations. I wanted to point out that there was a couple of homeowners association presidents there, in addition to yours truly. There was a school board member there, at least one elected senator. So, it was a good cross section of folks, and it wasn't people that were just, oftentimes at meetings like this, you get people, all they want to do is complain. And that was not the case at all. There were some really cogent observations that most of the folks made. I was really impressed with those young fellows that Elena spoke about that are turning guns into artwork. I exchanged phone numbers with them, and I sent them some photographs of the crowd, and they were a group of go-getters. And then another shout out to Matt Ray. He's a brand new kid on the board, and he was there. I think he showed up on Friday to help Elena set up the room. So anyhow, I was really happy he was there. And then the county staff that works at the senior center, they've been over backwards to make the room work for us. Elena talked to the young fellow that was there that morning that opened it up, and he was just all over trying to help us out. So if we could do more like that, I think it would be to our benefit.
Well, that certainly was something I was interested in hearing, and wonder if the other subcommittee members feel the same. It's a valuable exercise, and should the board do more of that?
If I could offer a couple of my thoughts. One, just thank you, Elena and Jim, for coordinating, and it was really a good turnout. I think the big takeaway, a lot of the substance of the conversation, as we've already talked about, was surrounding youth and in juvenile crime, which is obviously an issue, right, in our county and in our state. One of the things I was thinking I would like to maybe recommend, at least open for discussion for this board, to work with the sheriff's office to take a look at the school resource officer program, to evaluate that program, to highlight what is working well. Because I think we heard some comments from the community that things were actually going quite well in that regard, but there was also some comments or some recommendations on maybe how that program or how the officers in those schools. And so just looking at their training, their selection, at their policies, procedures, how many there are, what schools they're in. And then perhaps thinking about hosting listening sessions that's focused on youth. That was one of the recommendations from the community, is coming out and having an opportunity for just youth to provide some feedback. And so I think that might be a good way to help bridge that. So I'd like to maybe recommend the board consider that and pursue that.
Good suggestion.
Is it okay if I say something?
Sure, it's okay if you say something, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
So I did go to this meeting. I attended as a regular community member. And I thought it was very effective. The community members that showed up that knew about the meeting ahead of time, they came prepared. They had pages of references that they were ready to talk to the board about and ready to be heard about. It wasn't disorganized at all. It wasn't like community members are kind of like, oh, I just showed up and I just kind of wanted to be here and see what's it about. People were well prepared. They were excited to participate. The young men that did the presentation on the gun buyback program, they were talking about how they made gardening tools and stuff for the community out of the guns, and they work with Miranda Hargrove, I believe is her name. And they were talking about how much that program affected them because they had lost a classmate to gun violence, and why it was a really personal journey for them and how they wanted more students to have an opportunity to participate. So I felt like having that passion heard by the community as well as the board was very powerful. So if for no other reason, I think providing those kind of opportunities for students, you know, to be able to say, hey, like we care about these issues and this is what we're doing to be proactive. I think that that's very helpful for the community to hear that those things are happening, but also to know that like the support of, you know, the county is also behind them. So that would be my comment to add.
Thank you, Mark Kelly.
And they got
Thank
there
you.
45 minutes ahead of time. I mean, they were there when, you know, I was like, oh, please let there be more people. But they were there and they came and they introduced themselves and, you know, then I said, oh, you know, who you should get to know. So, I mean, it was really nice and they were very good models for the community that they represent.
Great. And this has been your baby, Elena. Kudos to you and thank you for heading that up. And Jim recognized your leadership, but Jim, you also deserve
Yes.
our appreciation. I'll describe Matt as a new kid on the block, and you know he's hit the baseball analogy. He's hit the diamond swinging, so we're grateful to him as well.
Yes,
So
he has.
thank the three of you, and if you all would, I don't know if we've got time today, but just confer. And Vice Chair, if you kind of revise the timetable so we can get something on this, I'd appreciate it. You know, if it occurs today, wonderful. If not, I keep thinking we had something of a session to refine the final report.
Yeah.
We had a special thing last year.
We had a special thing.
Yeah.
How did we manage that? I don't recall.
We did it in November.
We had a special meeting where we did not take a vote. We did,
It was a closed session. Yeah. Just for the board members to.
We may need that again.
Yeah.
Where we see the final copy.
And say, yeah, this is, but we're not voting. Apparently,
Yeah.
that would require
An open session.
an open session.
Right.
And so we want our vote to be counted in open session, but we may need a session focused strictly on the annual report. And
That'd be
And
good.
that's just on writing it and putting it together.
could I ask when we can schedule that open session? Because,
You may ask or you may direct, Madam Chair.
oh, I can direct? Wow.
When is it?
Saying, I don't know, Elena, you tell me, how long is it going to take you to put this together?
Well, if I'm meeting with Matt and Jim, I'll have to, you know, we can open our calendars after this is over and, you know, figure out maybe sometime next week. And then from there, I think it's just, you know, putting it, because I have all of the information there. It's just a matter of,
It may
editing
be
it down
a Microsoft Teams. Do we know how to share screen and put documents?
That's what I did for the last special. Put it up. Were you not here, sir?
Ma'am, I am
Well,
70.
can we say that we can have if we have a special meeting in the second week of December, so that's the week
Now,
of.
we have our holiday gathering the second week,
December
This month-
19th.
19th. Okay, so that's third week, right?
December 19th is a Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. So we could do it the second week with.
That's
Or
right.
the first week of December would also work for me.
When I'm out of
What's the
town.
date?
You have to
of,
count first week.
What date?
The dates are the second week is the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and we have a regular meeting on the 13th.
And
And by
let me,
then-
let me
Oh, sorry.
clarify again, if I might. This is not a voting session, but a working session. And so, Mr. Walker, if for instance, you're not able to make what we finally determined to be the time.
It's just a working portion of
Right.
it.
If-
So I'll still be able to be available for the vote. Okay.
So just so you know, so we can kind of line this all up. Thanksgiving is late this year. It's the 28th and 29th. Your regular scheduled meeting is for the 13th, but we've also been invited to the sheriff's promotional, which is on the 13th.
Right.
19th is when you guys are planning to have your luncheon. So,
We're running out of.
we gotta
days, huh?
squeeze some stuff in there, which is a regular meeting to vote. So the listening session has to happen before the meeting to vote.
You mean the working
In
session?
the working session,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, working session has to happen before we vote, and we need to get this, I need to get this by the end of December to county commission for them to put on their agenda for January.
All right, so that,
December 6th, how is Friday, December 6th? Does that work? Is that a Friday?
For the
No.
working session?
Also, the awards is during the same time of our meeting.
Yes, so we need to make a decision to.
yeah, and we've
do a-
been
our
there
meeting,
before. We know we're
whatever,
gonna-
so-
We know we're gonna go to the sheriff's award ceremony.
Right.
So now if, and that's probably gonna be here.
No, they're gonna have it at their new public safety training that just opened
Right.
up.
Not-
This will be their
not here.
first ceremony there.
Down on.
It's a beautiful facility. It's right over here off of Broadway by Road Bravo and Broadway.
Yes,
Can't miss it because it's a sheriff's, it's a fire and sheriff's. You'll see the big old tower there, right in the front. It sits
Not
back.
Second Street then, you know.
No, Broadway.
it's Rio Bravo and
North of Second.
north of Second.
North
Broadway.
of Road Bravo.
Broadway, north of
North of
Second.
Road Bravo on the west side.
Yes. And I would encourage you to go.
Second
Rio
runs,
Bravo.
second
Yeah.
runs
Yeah.
north and
North of
south.
Rio Bravo.
I'm confused, but I'm sure we can find it. And that's not the.
I will
the issue.
send all the information and the directions and everything, probably after this meeting, if not first thing on Tuesday. The
Okay.
county is off on Monday.
So what we might think about doing, colleagues, is perhaps consistent with being able to attend the sheriff's promotional on the 13th, having a one item agenda for the SOARB, which is finalization of the report. And how we accomplish that, we'll just hold on for a second. And then the working session the week before on the 6th.
Mhm.
Now, that's not a public meeting, that's strictly a working session. And in other respects, then keeping the calendar that we've established. How does that sound to you all? Does that work? Good.
Okay, what time are we talking about on the 6th?
The 5th or the 6th?
I thought it was the Friday, the 6th, but let me
Okay.
look at the
Right,
calendar.
Friday is the 6th.
Okay, Friday, the 6th.
Okay,
It's gonna be our
1 p.m.
meeting or what is that gonna be?
That's the working session, is
It's
it?
just a working session.
Can we get a room here?
Yeah, can we get a room?
Yeah, I
Or
will.
are we gonna try to do it strictly?
You
in
guys
person?
remember when you're working session, it could be at any
It was up to
time
you.
or day. No, well, let me rephrase that. Any working time or day. No 8 PM on a Friday,
Please.
please.
Shall we keep it one? One on Friday, the 6th?
Yeah,
Okay,
Madam Chair, are you back by then?
yes,
Okay,
yes, I am.
Okay,
great.
so I will set that after this meeting.
Okay,
And that's our working session.
that's our working session. It's not a public meeting.
And we're not gonna have a public meeting.
Will
All
you-
we're gonna do is attend the celebration, right?
We're gonna attend the celebration, but we need a public meeting to publicly vote on the report.
Got it.
And so, again, we need to determine how we're gonna accomplish that. But we have the folk here who can say we're gonna advertise a meeting. And whether that's then just a Microsoft Teams meeting where we record the vote, I think that'll work. The staff tells me something different. We don't have our attorney here, but I think it'll work if we announce a public meeting.
on Zoom?
And then vote on the report. I don't think we want a lengthy agenda.
No,
And maybe that, what time is the promotion?
1 p.m.
1.
1 p.m.?
Yes, we had a quick meeting here at noon and then.
Yeah,
did
I,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
why don't we
okay
do
with
that?
okay.
Why don't we do that, right? Meet here at noon?
So Friday at noon will be our regular meeting, and then at 1 will be that, okay. I get all straight.
And so what we're saying here, my vision is everybody should have the ability to go to the promotional. So if we're here, we don't want to spend a lot of time here. And we want to make sure that it's Microsoft Teams. So those that say, okay, let me just get on and vote, can go straight over there.
Is there anybody that's not gonna be present on the 13th?
It's not going to be personally present.
Yeah,
I might not be, we'll have to double check
Okay.
that, but other than that, I'm good.
We know you're not present on the 6th.
Right,
Right.
because I'm leaving that Friday,
Okay.
Tampa.
To
I'll be
Tampa.
there, I'll be there, provided there's not another 2-foot snowstorm in East Memphis.
Yes.
Yeah.
if we're not in the snow hole.
Are you snowed in, Michael? Michael,
Well, actually, I was snow plowed in because I spent all morning plowing my driveway and I didn't have the energy to drive into town, so I'm guilty.
no.
That's
it's
okay.
Yeah, that's really.
You're
Glad
taking
you're
care of
okay.
yourself.
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Sure,
I'd
Mr.
like to, I'd like to just summarize where we're at and offer a motion. But before I do, I want to make sure that our vice chair gets all of the information that she needs to put a draft together for the December 6th meeting. So what I would like to do is have her just speak briefly on what she needs, and then I'd like to make a motion to codify what we're going to do with those 2 meetings, if that's all right with you, Mr. Chair.
I think that's appropriate, Mr. Wismer, and if you would, you can make your motion address the new business items that regard the annual report as well. If we're not going to do anything with the annual report today, let's determine what the timetable is.
Okay, I would like to make the motion that the SOARB board meet on December 6th for the purpose of conducting a working session to finalize the draft of the annual report, and then a subsequent second meeting in the month of December with a single agenda item to finalize that report. And I'd also like to add that finalization of the report is dependent on all of us providing the vice chair the information she needs. So that's my motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded.
I
Madam
just,
Vice Chair,
I'm
please.
sorry. Just one question. I think every meeting we have, there has to be an opportunity for the sheriff's comment and the public comment. Even
I
if
think
we
you're
only
correct.
have
I think that's in the
one
charter.
Yeah, so we can't just assume, we can't have just a one agenda item or meeting for a regular meeting, I don't think.
No, you have to always have,
No, we can
provide public
share
comment.
Public comment.
You
And
always have,
sheriff's comment.
Dr. Layden brings to my attention, it doesn't have to be a regular meeting, but that's fine too. If we make it a regular meeting, we're only required to meet quarterly by our charter. We don't have to meet every month. Anyway,
Yes.
if it's going to be a regular meeting, I don't have any problem adding to the agenda sheriff's comment and public comment.
Okay.
I think
Well,
we got.
I just mean regular,
And that would create the agenda.
yeah, I'm just mean regular meeting in the sense of we're going to vote on the 13th.
Right.
So we say when, or noon, and that's fine, as long as there is also on that agenda, the sheriff's comment and the public comment.
Okay,
And that may not take any time at all. It's just that I think we are obligated to have those items on every public
Okay.
meeting agenda.
Understood. Does the maker and the seconder accept that amendment?
Yes.
Okay. Whoever seconded.
I'll second it.
I think it already was by somebody, but
it was
Okay.
seconded by Mr. Ray.
Mr. Ray.
Is there a possibility, or how feasible would it be to have that meeting at the academy? To limit the commute time, especially if you're gonna have someone from the sheriff's office comment, then they gotta travel down to the promotion ceremony?
She can ask. I know
So
that.
they have all those classrooms there at the academy, and we can go into one of the classrooms and.
We don't have
They have
Zoom.
to have availability. I know
They'll
fire is
have-
doing some
they'll have
stuff right
Zoom.
now.
They'll have Zoom
But they have
capability.
two classrooms on both sides.
So if staff can arrange that, is it everybody's pleasure that we just have the meeting there at that facility?
Absolutely.
Yes, if you can arrange for Zoom in case there are board members who
We do
can't.
teams,
attend
but
in.
yes, county does teams, but yes, it should
Okay.
all be set up.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
And then the other thing I would just recommend is if you would move it up to 11, just so you don't run into the promotional stuff that's happening there and them getting ready and
And the parking situation.
the parking situation, and also, because remember, families will be invited there. And secondly, if in case we can't have it there and we have to have it here, it gives you enough commute time. We probably cannot expect the sheriff to be coming to that meeting. Okay.
But he'll be invited.
But yes, always. And he might send a rep, but I'm probably gonna say because of everything happening, that you shouldn't expect that of them.
Right.
All right, so there's a lot in there, 11 o'clock.
Okay. And the other thing is that this is all contingent on my getting the information. Well, I think Michael said, I need to have this information to put into a draft of the report that's going to be circulated in time for people to review it and discuss it at the meeting on December 6th. And that means that that December 5th is too late. So I need a date by which it's basically the only thing I'm waiting for is Elena's write-up. I need to know when I can expect to have that.
What did you say, Madam Chair? What you said, not by the 5th?
No,
Give-
it's
give
the
us-
fifth is- If for us to discuss something on December 6th, I need to get Elena's write-up in advance of that meeting, and December 5th
By the
is
20th.
too late. I
How
know
about
we
second.
need
by
to get it-
Thanksgiving?
Yeah, by Thanksgiving.
22nd?
You'll send
That
us
would be
something
fine.
today anyhow, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, I have to meet with those guys.
22nd, that gives you 2
Yeah.
weeks, yeah.
I'm fine with that.
22nd? Is that what we're?
Yeah.
I think we've resolved the 22nd. Does that work?
As long as it works for
Yeah.
Matt and Jim, I'm good with that. Jim,
um,
does that work for you?
Yeah. It does, Elena, and I think that if you could just email that document to Matt
Yep.
and me, let us edit it and shoot it back to you.
You got it.
Yeah, because really, I need to get out the draft no later than December 2nd, which is a Monday. And I'd prefer to get it out before that.
Okay, now, there's the report part of that, and of course, if we're gonna make recommendations based on that, you need that information as well. So if the subcommittee has something that they're wanting us, like Matt was saying, boy, we really need to get with the sheriff on these school resource officers. So if that's
That
gonna be a
could be
regular.
after next, that can be,
Yeah, I think
That
that
can
could be
be
something
next
after the new year for
Okay.
the next, yeah.
All right.
Pressing, I don't think.
The only point I'm making is that in addition to the report on that meeting, if it's gonna contain recommendations, get them by the 22nd as well. Okay? All right,
Vice Chair.
Madam Vice Chair.
The only other piece I'm missing is Mr. Walker's bio.
I have it.
So
gave it to
you have it.
Janelle.
Okay, great. Then I'll just drop
I
that
wanted her
in.
to review it, make sure it wasn't too lengthy or too short. I know what you're exactly looking for. So
Well,
I gave it to her.
yeah.
He just
Okay.
handed it to me, so I will get it to you.
Okay, if you look at the report, the draft that you have on page 7, it's 6 and 7, you can see what the other bios look like. They're shorter, than a resume. And so, anyway, just, if you want to revise it based on what the other ones look
What
like.
page?
the report- Pages 6 and 7 of the draft 4 of the annual report.
Right.
So
Debbie,
I just saw one thing on page
that
4.
reminds me.
You misspelled my name.
Have one.
Well,
Just so-
See how you are.
he's saying politely, but yes.
Don't worry, my supervisor watched me destroy the previous. I knew it was serious.
All right, good.
6 and 7.
Okay,
All right,
I don't know.
So anyway,
Debbie-
let's,
Says board members, you have 2 Bs in my name, that's all.
I'm sorry, where is that?
On page 4, just at the beginning, it's forwarded and list board members.
She's a 1B Deb.
I only have one, I'm a 4-letter word.
Okay.
Good for
Okay,
you.
so
Always wanted to be a
And,
four-letter.
and Mr. Wismer, I don't know if you need to restate or we're clear on all that's gonna happen relative to your motion. But if you can restate, just briefly tell us with respect to the report, what we're doing.
The motion is that we, the SOAR board conduct 2 meetings in the month of December. A meeting on December 6th to a working session for to discuss the final draft of the report, and then an open meeting for the public on December 13th with the required items on the agenda. And I'll just leave it as required items on the agenda, and we know what we've talked about.
Okay. Ready for the question?
Yep.
Those in favor say aye.
I,
Any opposed? Okay, so that comes with the admonition of the vice chair that we get our stuff into her by the 22nd. All right. And I assume that also comes with the removal of 7A, approval of the annual report. But if there's something else that needs to be said on the annual report, we'll hear it at this time.
At the end of the annual report, because I haven't seen everything in the report, and so I know there were a number of things that we had talked about, but I don't know if I ever heard them resolved, like the taser thing in the mountains, the chokehold that the sheriff
So
did.
make your list and get that into
That's last year.
22nd. We'll have a chance.
No, that was all in last year's report.
What wasn't gonna be, but in last year's report, we didn't have the answers yet, so I didn't
Sir,
ever know.
I'm not clear on what you're referring to.
Okay,
So rather than taking agenda time now, get it into her by the 22nd. We'll have a chance to look at it on the 6th.
right,
If you need to talk offline,
bring it up on the 6th.
I'm sure she's
Well,
available.
all
I'm
right,
available.
I was hoping to get people's comments on draft 4.
You want to
You know,
do that now?
I was hoping to do that now.
Okay.
You know, I've done this draft. If anyone's read it, I would appreciate comments. If people haven't had a chance to look at it, well, then I can't, you know, my time is also limited. Let me just put it.
Oh, I've got
out.
one. I've got enough.
This is powerful.
And so, excuse me then,
Oh.
Elena, were there some things that you wanted to point out then?
well, no, I was just wondering where those components were, because Deb was saying, well, those things got brought up
In a previous
here
report?
before, but I don't remember
The
them.
taser and the chokehold thing with the sheriff.
So I mean,
You know,
it's easy enough
a
to
couple
look
of
at the-
things that Diane had.
It's easy
brought
enough
up
to
as
look
well.
at the past report.
Well, but it was, at that time, it was under administration. They were looking at it, investigating it. And I don't know if I ever heard the result of what that
Okay,
was.
may I reply?
Sure.
Thank you. On the taser issue, if I'm not mistaken, that officer resigned, right? The officer who used a taser possibly inappropriately, that officer resigned. I'm not sure that there's anything more to that. On the chokehold, we talked about what a chokehold is, but the issue is whether the sheriff used a chokehold. And there's nothing more to say about that. There was no investigation.
I
of
thought
that.
there was. I thought that's one of the reasons we weren't getting
Desiree.
the information was.
Well,
I think
There
what
was-
happened is on advice of counsel, the sheriff wasn't going to discuss that with us any further.
Yeah,
Now, that's not to foreclose any recommendation that you all want to
Well,
place before the SOARB.
we don't know that it was a chokehold. Let's be careful with our words here. Okay, now Elena, you have said it looks that way to you, but not everybody agrees that a
And so
chokehold took place.
Dr. Layden, I don't care to discuss the substance of it.
Okay,
Okay, if somebody's got some kind of recommendation, let's get that in and discuss it as a potential recommendation.
Okay,
Debbie Strong.
Yeah, I just want to say that my understanding is that the district attorney found that there was no cause to take it any further. And if that's the district attorney's determination, then as far as I'm concerned, that's the end of our discussion of that issue, period.
Okay.
Because we're not an investigation team.
Right.
Well, we
Exactly.
can, under our charter,
Yeah,
we
we can.
can be, but, you know, and people are expressing their opinions about this substantive issue. So you have a little time to look at it, you know, wrap it in a pretty bow and say, this is what we need to do if you're inclined to do that. We've had at least a couple of comments that say, it's closed, it's a closed issue. So
And I think online you could find the report from last year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Everything's on the
If they want to
SOARB page.
compare, yeah.
Sure. Okay,
I do have just one minor recommendation for you, Debbie, while we're here on page 7,
Okay,
under subcommittees.
yes.
It seems item number 6 and 9 might be really similar. I don't know if you want to combine those two or wording slightly different, but the substance on number 6 and 9 on page 7 under subcommittees appear to be some overlap there.
Yes, absolutely. Those are just duplicates. Good catch. And I commend you for having read that far.
We actually put that in there as to see if someone's finding.
Well, you know, number 6 talks about administration and number 9 talks about enforcement with the, so you, I think, the two separation of administration versus batch. And I think that's why they're separated.
Well, but they're both they're both subcommittees that consist totally of Mr. Wismer. So I think we can safely list it under one listing, but
Yeah,
I think that's a very good,
Yeah, they're both
Okay.
referencing the crime analyst and the accountability manager positions, so.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any specific?
well, of course, I'll get back to you on the forward.
Yes, that's fine. I don't know at what point we find out if Commissioner Baca remains the chair, but
I don't think they vote until the January.
You don't vote till the January, so what you've done in past years is, since this is the report for 2024, you just
Mhm.
leave who the members are because it's 2024.
Yeah, so we'll just say chair and commissioner.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay. All right.
I'd like to thank you for the reference to AI in the annual report. Thank you. Debbie,
Yep, you're welcome.
thank you.
I don't, also, Mr. Chair, I don't know if we wanted to mention, I know there were several members that were not continuing on the board. If we want to
Mhm.
Transitioning.
highlight that perhaps in the recommendation to the BCC in terms of supporting the board by appointments of members, if we want to emphasize.
There was some language about supporting the board in that fashion.
Yes,
but if you're saying-
recommendation, it's on page 2, item 4, under section 2, advisory recommendations to BCC.
I bet you're pleased that I got to page 2, huh?
I'm so impressed.
So
I
do
won't
we
be
have,
surprised, but that too.
do we have a quick date or a date where people are saying, this is gonna be it, or I want to stay for another 6 months, or, I mean,
You have
because
to
I
turn in a
got,
letter.
huh?
You have to turn in a letter.
Right. Well, I had received a email from Julie Baca said, am I gonna still be interested? I sent back a thing that said, yes, I am. Then I got a thing back that said, we'll probably keep you in as an at-large member and may have that ready for the 11th of this month to show up. But that, I mean, you know,
That's when the board meets and they will vote on any people that have put in for board or those that want to continue, so.
And let me say this, Julianne Baca was at our last meeting,
mhm.
so she heard comments and
Yeah, so that's probably why I got back.
I'll see us through the report, but it's not my intention to stay past
Then
that.
you have to turn in a letter though.
Yeah.
You have to send
Yeah.
a letter.
Yes.
Okay.
That was
Gotta
my
send a
mistake.
letter.
I didn't send it.
Gotcha.
I said,
But in terms of the time, that.
okay,
that's
so
fine.
it's like beginning of the year or something.
Yeah.
Unless we convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
Got it.
Good luck.
He will have his letter in.
Okay, returning to draft 4. Anything else? Any other comments? I'm not
Okay,
on.
hearing none, is that enough to satisfy your appetite for comments now?
Well.
And then we'll be
yeah,
ready for the 6th.
22nd, get it in by the 22nd.
Yeah. Um,
And if somebody needs to circulate something, just remember, I think the admonition is not to everybody.
Go through the net and Debbie.
Right.
And also, as a component of the report that Elena's group is doing, I think that under section 14, Roman 14 of the report, issues for future review, we can add a second item, which is, follow up on the school security suggestions that were made by, I guess, someone at the listening session.
I can
So,
include a few lines for you. I'll send them your way.
okay,
Mhm.
that would be great.
Wonderful.
And in addition to anything else, but I assume that whatever is in there now under the listening session is not sufficient for so please just get that to me as soon as you can.
And when did we get scheduled last year? Jeanette? Did we present at the February meeting?
You did at the January.
January?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So far, since I've been here, it's always been the January.
Okay.
meeting.
Good. Okay, nothing further on annual report then?
I think we're good.
Very good. We'll hear from Dr. Layden on the holiday luncheon.
Okay, I called Indian Pueblo Kitchen, and now you need to know, they officially do not take reservations, but I told them that we all showed up last year. We had 10, 12 people. We showed up at 11:30. We'd like to be seated together. We were in a back room all together. The person I spoke to said it's likely, but now we all need to show up at 11:30.
And what
So-
is this?
This is December 19th. It's a Thursday, December 19th at
What time?
Indian Pueblo Kitchen, up at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center
She's saying
at the north,
11:30.
11:30. And I'll send a message a few days before. We all need to be there at the same time. I'll get there early. I asked to speak to the manager. She wasn't there the day I called, and I'm told I called again today. She'll be there tomorrow. I'll speak to the manager. Necessary, I'll go by there so that we're treated.
I will send out an invite like I did last
Thank you.
year that you guys can all respond to and get a head count, okay?
Yeah. Very good, thank you.
So same protocol.
We-
Layden, if you don't mind, as last year, I'll send out the invite like I did last year, the email invite like I do for a meeting.
Yes.
So that I can get the responses of.
Okay, I'll send you a message to Nancy.
Yes, and to the sheriff's office, I do too.
Yeah, I had a good time eating.
Yeah. And then also it's a no host. We all know what that
Yeah.
means, right? So I will include that in the invite.
That's it.
Okay, and Dr. Layden, thank you for taking
You're
that up.
welcome.
We've had a good time with that the past 2 years that we've done it.
We've done it. It's fun. We have a good time. Spouses are welcome. Spouses, if you have a spouse.
Markella, you're welcome to.
Yes, I'm planning to attend and I am trying to get Mayor Keller to come with me as well.
Oh, that'd be
That's
great.
great.
Attend the
Wonderful.
luncheon, so fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe.
I have your address, so I, your email, send it to you.
Thank you. Comms team loves seeing the actual invitations.
All right,
I have one thing before we end.
sure.
On October 8th, I was summoned to the commission meeting. And they, I mean, this was, Eric Olivas. So they gave me my certification for serving on the board.
Oh.
I mean, they asked, I sent them the letter. I told them my thing expired in October and I told them that I was willing to stay on till they appointed a new member, but they still wanted to go ahead and do that. So I guess I'm still a member of the board. I've got this.
That's great.
And I have sent in.
Will you submit that for the record? Can we have a copy of that?
Sure.
You know, they did solicit a comment. I hope it made it in. But if it did not, I want you to know that you are a valued member of this group.
Well, they made me get up in front of everybody.
Good, good.
Nice.
I mean, that's
Good.
nice, yeah. It's-
You deserve it.
But it's kind of, I was the lone soldier there. I was like, I guess everybody else is staying on or what?
Not bad.
But, so I guess I'm still on until, I have pitched it to a number of people that I know, so maybe they'll sign up.
Put it on their record.
You know, and Debbie, there's a photograph of you in front of the board that's on digital signage.
Oh, that's right.
Nice. Can you send that? That would be nice to see.
Oh, I wasn't probably looking my best. I was-
So, This is an
Leaving for
indication
Hawaii
of
and-
SOARB heaven. This is what we live for, you know.
Good to get that.
Yeah.
That's what we
The
say.
recognition, the recognition of
SOARB.
the county commission. So congratulations,
It's
Debbie.
interesting
Yeah.
when different boards do that. I have one from the Museum of Natural History, because I was on their board one
Uh-huh.
time, and it's the cute, it's a plaque, you know, wooden plaque with a bronze thing. And it has a little bitty bronze dinosaur.
Oh,
It's so cute.
Man,
We should have a little bronze sheriff at the.
anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
No.
While I didn't, make the listening session, I did have a nice session with my granddaughter.
That's what I kept on thinking about. He's
Yeah,
having a really good
She
time.
started crawling. She's, had her first taste of solid food,
Ooh, that's
And-
exciting.
Did
this
you give them
kid-
beat? They always say they give them beat. That's how my kids go.
7 months.
7 months?
now.
Oh, fun.
7
Yeah,
months.
so thank you all.
Are you gonna pass photos around?
I'm, it's hard to resist that temptation, but I'll do that after the meeting. So I'm not holding people needlessly, but thank you all. And is there anything else before we adjourn? Is there? Mrs. Squibb?
Judge, if I might, one alibi.
Yes.
This is for Michael and Matt. Somewhere in the back of my brain, I remember some Burnco deputies coming in and talking about their school deputy program.
Right,
Am I-
we had that.
Yes, they did.
So I just want to pass it along to Matt. There may be something in Danette's notes or somewhere that he could take a look at.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
Markel, I
school
know that
officer
the
came in
APD
also.
had a school resource program at one time. I don't know what the status of that is,
I can find out.
but it might be something that dovetails nicely. I don't know which schools the county covers with its resource officers versus which school the APD covers with its.
The unincorporated is what the county covers.
let me go further. Danette, do you remember when that meeting was, when that man came? I think his first name was Michael. Is that possible? No?
We have,
I think that was
depending on
last
how
year.
long ago it
You
was,
know, that
our
runs
talk
into
Everything that happened last year.
for our School resource.
This year.
I think it was early this
Peter
year.
Martinez.
Phil.
Before?
It was Peter
In
Martinez.
summary,
Yeah.
In summer, it's rough.
It's been a while.
I was rendered on
I'm
Wednesday.
sure he would be happy to come teach over our school resources and community engagement.
All right, except for me showing you pictures of my granddaughter, I think that's it. Any objection to adjournment?
I so move.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Next meeting, then next formal meeting is December 13, working session on the 6th. Get your stuff in by the 22nd of November.
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
colleagues. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna be seeing a lot of each other.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Let's sprint to the end.
You have to make your presentations.
Well, thank you.
Are they gonna?
They'll be.
Oh, sure, we were,
Are they
you know.
gonna-
For the